Good morning, I'm Angelo Castro III.
I'm Angela and we are the Castros. Happy Monday!
Happy Monday and sa lahat ng viewers na natin. Wow, bilis
Kamusta ang kanilang weekend?
Yes.
Parang pumikit lang tayo, Monday na ulit.
Isang tikit lang, another week has come.
Yes, ang bilis talaga ng panahon. But good morning again sa ating mga viewers. Of course, sa One News. Then we also have sa YouTube, sa Facebook, Signal Play app.
Yes. And
everywhere.
also watching us on
We're
cable
everywhere.
TV. Signal cable, of course. Because
sarap ng ano natin.
we're breakfast pala.
Breakfast natin.
Oh,
We have puto
you.
kalasyaw with ube flavor.
And
my favorite.
Hotdog
and of course,
and
hotdog and rice. Okay.
Alright, we're serving you news in a countdown.
All that before your second cup of coffee. This is Brunch.
Jump-starting today's list with our top 10. Ed Sheeran shared the stage with Ben and Ben. Local band Ben and Ben was on cloud 9 after performing with Ed Sheeran at his concert in Manila. They jammed together singing the band's hit song, Maybe the Night. Ben and Ben's vocalist Miguel Guico took to Instagram, describing the moment as unreal and unforgettable. Besides Ben and Ben, British singer Callum Scott also rocked the stage as the opening performer. Prior to the show, the artists bonded over a karaoke session.
Uy, favorite ko din yun, yung Maybe the Night ng Ben and Ben. But this is not the first time na nga pumunta si Ed Sheeran dito sa atin. No? Asuki na siya. Ang natawa lang ako online kasi nagsi-circulate online this weekend, yung kumakanta siya sa karaoke. Nakakatawa naman. Kasi alam mo naman mga Pinoy, di ba? Known yan sa
karaoke.
Tapos siya din nakikikaraoke, just pinapasa-pasa nila yung mic.
Saka Ed Sheeran's been known naman mga countries na binivisit niya. He immerses himself in the culture, yung mangbibigla, yung manggugulat.
Talaga?
Oo, like I think, I don't remember what country that was. Pumunta siya sa food market. Tapos naka-disguise siya, tapos may dalang gitara. Para
nice.
makakain lang. Yung mga ganun siya, mga style niya.
Okay, good news yung top, yung ano mo, number 10 mo. Good news din ang aking 9th spot. A hidden beach in the country that is declared as one of the best beaches in the world by Condé Nast. The travel magazine listed El Nido, Palawan's hidden beach as the 19th best beach in the world. Condé Nast praised the stunning white sand and limestone cliffs of the hidden beach. Prior to this, Condé Nast recognized other local destinations like Shangri-La, Boracay, and Mactan. Ooh, ang ganda. Dalin mo ko dyan.
Para ma-access daw ang lagoon, parang you have to climb over something, one of the limestones. Tapos parang may entry point, parang parang keyhole ang dating ng very small area.
Oo nga,
para
nabasa
makalusot
ko nga
going
yan.
Inside. Tapos pag nakapasok ka na daw lagoon na yan, may limestone.
Ganda.
Bone-like sand na white, crushed, parang crushed bones daw. Very white and very very natural pa. Sana man lang hindi maano yan. Yung nangyari sa Boracay, na-commercialize masyado.
Oo. Mapanatili yung niya.
Beauty
yung
and wag lang
Sabi ko, dalin mo ko dyan.
Oo, sige. Wag lang,
Labas sa ilong. Nakita ko lumabas sa ilong. Oo, sige.
Hindi, iniisip ko lang paano ako aakyat sa bato eh. Pero,
Ako na lang. Iwanan kita.
Walang pakialam to kung sino kasama, basta siya lang masaya. Galing.
Ganun talaga.
Ganun talaga buhay. Okay!
Ano?
Next! Coming at the 8th spot, pasintabi po sa mga kumakain, hay nako, a Japanese national was arrested for masturbating during a flight to Cebu. Here's the report.
A 29-year-old female product specialist was on board a flight from Manila to Cebu on Saturday at 5 a.m. She was seated next to a 20-year-old Japanese national. Since it's too early for the day, the woman chose to catch some sleep during the flight. But she definitely woke up when she noticed her seatmate masturbating.
Natutulog pa yung Pilipina na pasahero. Tulog din yung hapon. Nung kalagitnaan na ng biyahe nila, about to take off na ata sa yung CIA dito sa Cebu. Nung nagising yung Pilipina, napansin niya yung katabi niyang Hapon na hawak-hawak yung ate niya. Yun, masturbate na siya.
The woman immediately reported the Japanese national to the authorities and she was transferred to another seat.
Excuse me, I'd like to report an assault.
Upon arriving at Makani Airport, the Japanese national was arrested by the police. He is currently behind bars at the Lapu-Lapu City Police Station. Under the revised penal code, any indecent shows are considered as crimes. Suspects can face up to 6 years in prison and be fined of up to 12,000 pesos. Police said this should serve as a lesson to everyone.
Depende na rin sa immigration. Pero yung criminal aspect niya is tuloy pa rin. Regardless na bumalik siya sa Japan o ma-deport siya, yung kaso niya is active pa rin dito sa atin. Kung sakali naman bumalik siya at may warrant of arrest na siya, pwede siya maligod. Kung sakali makapag-piyansa sa ngayon.
For News 5, John Aroa, We Are One News.
May nako, may CR naman.
Hindi mo pagpigil, ganon.
CR naman. Hindi mo pumunta ng CR.
Ay, dako. Ayoko na yan, balita na yan. Let's move on to our next topic for today. A large majority of adult Filipinos are willing to fight for the country should a conflict erupt with a foreign enemy. That's according to an Okta survey.
Now let's talk more about that with Okta Research Fellow Guido David live via Zoom. Magandang umaga, Prof. Guido.
Good morning.
Yes. Good morning, Angela and Angela. Thank you for having me. Good morning din sa ating mga viewers and listeners.
Oh.
Okay, Prof, how many of the respondents said yes and how many said no or unsure about yung questioning nyo?
Yes, ito yung bahagi ng aming tugon ng masa fourth quarter survey conducted December 10 to 14, 2023 with 1,200 respondents nationwide, plus minus 3% margin of error. So the question we asked specifically, may English and Filipino versions, but if there is a conflict between the Philippines and a foreign enemy, are you ready to fight for your country? And yung results, nationwide, 77% said yes. That's more than 3 out of 4. And then 23% said no.
Okay, and yun nga yung pagiging eksakto no naging question natin. I was wondering, Prof, kung kasi nakalagay dito, I was reading, adults with vocational education showed the greatest willingness to fight, 86%, against foreign adversaries rather, while those with college or postgraduate education recorded the lowest percentage, that is 70%. What does this tell you, Prof?
Well, of course, may variations between people from different backgrounds. Like yung high school graduates, 79% ang nagsabing yes. Sa vocational, 86%. And then yun nga, college, 70%. Although slightly lower, pero this is still within the range. 7 out of 10 college graduates are willing to fight. Actually, pag titingnan natin yung breakdown, some other interesting points. Although higher sa males, 82% nagsabing yes. Females, 72%. But it is still high. 72%, 7 out of 10 female Filipinos are willing to fight for the country. And then, pag titingnan din natin yung age groups, ang pinakamataas, actually, andito ako sa age group na to, 45 to 54, 87% from age groups 45 to 54. Ang sabi ng iba, baka dahil nag-ROTC yung mga yan. So they have the mentality for that. But nevertheless, across the board naman, even for 18 to 24, mataas pa rin, 74%.
So you're saying, Prof, that the older the respondent, mas mataas ang sense of nationalism or patriotism. Another question ko, Prof, also is, what was the process? Paano po nag-process ang survey nyo? And what prompted you to go through with this kind of a survey?
Yes. Yung first question mo, not necessarily na the older, kasi actually pag 65 to 74, 69% na lang nagsabing yes. But of course, baka, maliit na lang makakontribute nila din baka they're aware of that din.
Okay.
And whereas 45 to 54, they're still considered siguro able-bodied. So siguro, the higher the age, the more sense of nationalism. But I think it's more of a sense of yung protectionism kasi most ng mga nasa 45 to 54 will have families. So syempre gusto nilang ipagtanggol yung mga families nila, yung mga spouses nila, yung mga
Okay.
children nila, and yung kababayan din nila. Pero this is an interesting question. First time namin tinanong ito nung December kasi medyo nagkakagulo tayo. Medyo hindi ba nagkakagulo tayo internally, but we are feeling the tensions. We see it in
Yes,
the
yes.
news. May tensions tayo sa ating territorial waters. And yung isang nag-inspire dito is because yung Ukraine, nung ginera sila ng Russia, they're a much smaller country. And most
yeah.
people, ang perception ng mga analysts is that yung Ukraine is overmatched by Russia. And they expected that, the conflict will be over
That's right,
quickly.
that's
Pero
right.
hindi. And one of the reasons we believe na kaya na lumalaban pa rin yung Ukraine is because mataas yung sense of nationalism ng citizens nila. And so we wanted to measure that sa ating mga kababayan. Do we have a high sense of patriotism, of nationalism, of a feeling of willingness to fight? And masaya naman ako to report that we are seeing, more than 3 out of 4 Filipinos
Are
are
willing.
willing to fight for the country.
That's what I'd like to ask lang quickly lang before we go over to Angel Prof. Now, you guys used the word, are you willing to fight for the country? Now, was the word fight defined, or is it understood fight, you mean the armed conflict?
Well, I think nasa framing ng question, if there's a conflict,
Okay.
are you ready to fight? Although, of course, may mga, pinost ko sa Twitter, sa x.com, may mga nagsasabi na, oh, yeah, willing ako to fight kasi I'm a keyboard warrior. May mga nagsasabing
Okay.
mga ganon. But, I think nasa context naman ng questioning na it is about armed conflict. And of course, in armed conflict naman, hindi naman lahat will necessarily take up arms. May mga iba-ibang positions and roles din naman. May mga medics, may mga nasa logistics, sa supplies, may mga sa intelligence. And what we get also out of this is that hindi naman necessarily na yung mga Filipinos are aggressive. In
Yes.
fact, wala namang sinasabi dito na gusto nating makipaggera. Ang sinasabi lang is, are you willing
to defend.
defend?
Oh.
So
Okay.
it's more about defense. It's not about instigating conflict or yun nga. But it's more about kung nilusob tayo or may tensions, paglalaban ba natin yung bansa natin?
Oh, at least malinaw on that context kasi yung iba baka malito sila doon sa
Yeah.
way of questioning. Pero Prof, ito din nakita ko dito sa article na nilabas po ninyo. You noted that Davao Region and Caraga have the highest percentage of adult Filipinos ready to fight for the country, no? 96% yung naitala sa Davao Region. What does this tell you, Prof? Kasi coming from the issue before during the Duterte administration na alam naman natin iba yung foreign policy niya, and right now is also different, no, yung ginagawa ng President Bongbong Marcos administration. Prof.
Yes, and actually, Angel, yung pinakamataas, yun nga, sa regions 11, 12, and
Yes.
13. Kasama rin yung 12 dyan, Soxer dyan, 95%, almost the same na rin, as 96%. And that's an overwhelming majority of Filipinos in those regions. May mga inferences tayo dito. Firstly, they stand by the Philippines. So may mga talks before of secession. And I think, it goes against what the Filipino values are na, togetherness and willing to fight for the country. Secondly, we know na sa Davao, not Davao, but sa Mindanao region,
Yeah, Mindanao.
medyo yung tensions there are, there are tensions there. Meron tayong neighboring countries there, and may mga insurgents in some areas there, and these cause tensions. And I think that makes them more willing or more prepared to fight for the country. Kumaga, ando na yung mindset because it's already happening in some places there na they're seeing, conflict, they're seeing some insurgents, may tensions. I mean, we have wala tayong ka-border, but in those regions, actually, may malapit tayong bordering
Yeah.
country. And so I think that's the sense of it. And yun nga, I mean, regardless of what the president or former president said, I think it's in the heart of Filipinos yung courage and yung ipaglaban yung ating bansa and the sense of nationalism. I believe talaga we're a peace-loving nation by and large. Pero yun nga, when push comes to shove, yun nga,
Yeah.
masaya ako to see that we are actually ready
Well,
to...
Yeah, we love peace pero don't mess with us. Parang ganun.
Yes. Tama.
Yeah. Prof, what are the other salient points that you have noticed that stood out sa'yo coming out of the survey?
Well, yun, na-mention natin about some age groups, about sa gender na, although slightly higher sa males, but it's still high for females. Na-mention nyo rin, the college grads are generally, siguro, mga less about conflict. That's why it's a bit lower, 70%. For locals, actually, mas mataas sa mga Filipinos from urban areas, 80%
Okay.
versus 73% sa rural. And sa socio-economic classes, pinakamataas actually sa D, nasa 80%, whereas ABC nasa 67%, same with E. So, siguro yung ating mga blue-collar Filipinos, definitely mas ready to take up arms and fight for the country. Siguro yung mga more educated, hindi naman na not ready to fight, but I think siguro they know na where they will be positioned in a conflict. Kasi like I mentioned kanina, hindi
Yeah.
naman lahat nasa battlefield. May iba nasa intelligence, may iba nasa pwedeng sa medical, ganon. I mean, in a conflict naman, may mga roles to be filled and hindi na naman, yes.
Opo. Prof, siguro very quick na lang before we let you go. Gusto lang po namin malaman how can this be useful? Ito pong survey na ginawa po ninyo recently.
Yes, and yung mga questions that we ask generally, ang gusto nating ma-probe is questions that may guide policy. And that may, kasi every time we hear na yung mga government officials natin, yung mga lawmakers, they talk about crafting policy based on data or based on evidence. And dito, gusto namin makatulong to supply the evidence para sa ating mga decision makers. Na ito, you can use this as basis. Ano yung pwede nating basis? Well, for one thing, having a high sense of nationalism, parang it should encourage the administration to be hindi naman bold per se na, like I said, hindi naman natin nature to be aggressive.
Yeah.
But at least to stand our ground. And ang isa pa pang na iniisip is of course in conflicts, for example, in the case of Ukraine, hindi naman sila nag-iisa lang in their fight against Russia.
Yeah.
So they have friends to help them.
Allies.
And that's what I think din na tayo rin, if we're facing an enemy that is bigger and stronger than us, kahit matatapang tayo, hindi natin kakayanin, being realistic. But we could always use the help of allied nations. And that's why international relations is very important, especially, for the administration. Making, having friends in other countries, this is very important moving forward.
All right.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us this morning, Octa Research Fellow Guido David.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, coming up, the NFA wants the release of rice to private traders suspended amid an alleged anomaly.
And Pastor Raporo Kibuloy is facing another accusation, this time about exploitation of OFWs.
We are just getting started. More of our top 10 news when Brunch returns. Keep it here on One News. Now, good morning once again. You are still watching Brunch here on One News.
Oh, we'd like to encourage all our viewers on all our social media accounts na makisali sila sa usapan through our comment section. Oo.
Okay.
Kahit simpleng reklamo lang sa pagkain.
Pwede na.
Oo.
Ito for sure makikisali sila sa usapan dahil the
Ay, oo.
96th Academy Awards or the Oscars is currently ongoing and the comedy film Poor Things is leading the night. Now, the film starring Emma Stone have won Best Production Design, Best Costume Design, and Best Makeup, beating the mega blockbuster film Barbie in the said categories. Davine Joy Randolph earlier won the Best Supporting Actress Award for her performance in The Holdovers. And in the Best Animated Feature category, Hayao Miyazaki's The Boy and the Heron pulled an upset win against Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. John Cena also stole the show for presenting the Best Costume Design Award, Almost Naked.
Way to go, John Cena.
And going straight to our top 7. Ramadan in the Philippines will officially begin on Tuesday, March 12. The National Commission on Muslim Filipinos announced that after the result of moon sighting activities, the date of the start of Ramadan varies in different countries since it depends on lunar sighting. During Ramadan, Muslims traditionally refrain from eating and drinking from sunrise to sunset. President Bongbong Marcos expressed his solidarity with Muslims as Ramadan approaches. He says it's a time of reflection and spiritual growth that could strengthen kinship among Filipinos.
Let's move on to our top 6. And on our 6th spot, a transgender woman was beaten to death in Pasig City last week. 29-year-old Shaina Nazareth went to his friend's house last March 3 for a drinking session. Her mother said Shaina went home beaten up and died at the hospital 3 days later due to hemorrhage.
Parang nakaupo lang na gano'n. Tapos yung Emma na yun, yung suspect yun, bigla raw pong ginan yung anak ko. Sabi, hindi ako makahinga, tumumba na. Magtumba po, ulit, ayun, sumubsob, doon na nila pinagtulungan ano yun. Gulpihin talaga. Wala, parang trip lang nila.
Authorities were able to locate and arrest the suspects who declined to comment on the murder.
Pinasar nitong Danilo si Rodrod. Sabi daw niya, ang pangit mo. Lumanon yung si Danilo. Sinuntok niya. Ang sinipa-sipa.
Na mahirap dyan iinom tapos hindi magiging violent Wag na lang. Hindi
Okay.
maganda yung ganyan.
Right, and moving on now to our next story of the day. Let's see. Arriving at the 5th stop is the Philippine National Railways or PNR. The railway company will stop its operation in Metro Manila for 5 years starting on March 28. The Transportation Department or DOTR said they have to do this to give way for the North-South Commuter Railway project. Around 25,000 passengers will be affected by this. In response, the DOTR will provide a special bus service to transport commuters between Alabang and Tutuban.
Ang LTFRB ay pasimulang nag-autorisa ng 25 buses na dadaan po mag-load and unload po ng mga pasahero malapit po sa may istasyon kung saan malapit po sa istasyon ng PNR.
And to clear things up, lalo na po sa mga kapatid nating commuters, we have DOTR Undersecretary for Rails, Jeremy Regino, on the line. Good morning, Yusek.
Good morning, Andrew and Angela.
Yes, thank you for joining us today. Diretso na po ako sa ating mga katanungan ngayon, Yusek. 25,000 lang po ba talaga yung ating projected number na affected passengers dito po sa magiging construction ng North and South Commuter Railways?
Yes, actually that's the peak season during the Christmas season. That's around October, starting October because of the Divisoria shoppers. Pero like for example, now we have lesser passengers, around an average of 20,000 passengers.
Okay, Yusek, yung special service po na sinasabi, pa-clarify lang namin po. May bayad po yun sa Yusek?
Yes, those are bus rates.
Bus
Okay.
rates.
Okay.
Oo. Kasi actually, yung mga commuters natin, USEC, medyo may reklamo sila, mas mapamahal daw sila ngayon doon sa pag nagsara yung PNR. But itong 5 years po ito na stop operation na po ito, fix po ba ito? Paano po yung mga tren? Di po ba masisira kung hindi po magagamit yung mga yun for 5 years?
Actually po, gagamitin po natin yung mga lumang bagon ng PNR sa Southern Tagalog at saka Bicol operation. Kapag hinto na po ng operation dito sa Metro Manila, ililipat natin po sila babiyahe ng Calamba to Lucena at saka Sipocot, Camarines Sur hanggang Naga at Naga to Legazpi City. By the end of this year, tinataya nating diretso na po ang biyahe ng Calamba hanggang Legazpi pag nakumpunin natin ang mga tulay natin sa Quezon area.
Okay. Yusek, during po yung panahon na tigil operasyon, ano po yung mga rehab projects na iba pong gagawin natin sa PNR? Paano po yung mga yung mga affected workers din na kung sakali mali-displaced during those 5 years?
The affected workers at PNR will be doing the operations and train maintenance, truck maintenance.
Okay.
At the Southern Tagalog and Bicol area, aayusin po natin mga dormitoryo doon, mga lumang sleeper trains natin, gagamitin din po nating temporary dormitories of our PNR employees so they can utilize this and be able to continue their work.
I was wondering po kasi I remember before, sabi po dapat mga middle of January pa po ito magsisimula yung construction. What happened po? Bakit po parang na-delay po tayo at mag-start tayo by March pa?
Una-una, mas bababa, mas maipsan natin epekto nito kung sa Holy Week tayo magsisimula. Pangatlo, mas mabuting pagsimula natin, sabay-sabay na lahat ng works dito sa mula Tutuban hanggang Alabang para hindi ho sayang ang oras natin. Hindi rin ho nasayang yung paghinto ng operasyon ng PNR. Ibig sabihin, we maximize everything and maximize and optimize everything para wala pong nasayang oras at hindi naman po maganda kung hihinto tayo suspende tayo ng operasyon at patsi-patsi po ang trabaho para mainam na po na sabay-sabay po sa buong area po ng Tutuban hanggang Alabang.
Okay. So, how many passengers po are we expected to accommodate kapag up and running na po itong project na ito, Yusek?
Yung NSCR Clark to Calamba and Calamba to Clark, the NSCR system will be able to accommodate around 800,000 passengers ang kaya nitong accommodate. Initially, sa first year of operation natin, tinataya nating 350, aabot ng 500,000 ang initial passengers natin. At habang tumatagal ang operasyon ng NSCR ay tataaso yung ridership natin. Ganyan din po yung naranasan natin sa Line 1, Line 2, Line 3. Hindi naman po kaagad napuno itong mga linyang to, ang mga bagon natin. Sapagkat kinakailangan pong bago muna ang sistema ng pagbiyahe ng ating mga kababayan. At pag nasanay na sila, ay tataas na ho yung ridership dito.
Okay. Yusek, last na rin po, sabi niyo po, maso-shorten yung travel time from Clark to Pampanga, all the way to Calamba in Laguna, ng ilang oras po, at saka meron na po ba tayong target na, kumbaga, anong po ang tawag doon, magkano po yung magiging pamasahe ng mga commuters natin na gagamit
Yeah,
nitong
pag nag-resume.
project na to, pag nag-resume na po yung, nag-start na yung operation rather?
Mapapalayo ito doon sa magiging pamasayo sa mga ibang release ng tren natin pagbukas po nitong North-South Commuter Rail. Kung halos pantay-pantay po ang pamasahe po natin dyan.
Kahit may mga upgrades and may konting kumbaga modernization doon But on that note, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras sa Yusek Jeremy Rihino.
Salamat din po sa ating mga tagapakinig po at salamat din po sa inyo.
All right.
Okay, to get more insights about this, we have National Center for Commuter Safety and Protection Chairman Elvira Medina.
Good morning. Good morning. Po. Ayun, there you are. Yes.
Good morning, and thank you for inviting us
Okay.
in your program.
Thank you for joining us po. But yun lang po, gusto namin kunin yung reaction niyo po about the temporary suspension of this, yung kanina po na-discuss natin, yung PNR operations dito po sa Metro Manila.
Yes. Let's move back in history, no? Just to let you know how this PNR was revived. Because during the Cory administration, they stopped the PNR. And when we started advocacy, it was always our cry to make mass transport the centerpiece of our transport system. Now, it happened that sometime when MRT3 was always stopping and was bogged down, we recommended during a Senate hearing where Senator Grace Poe was the chairman of the Transportation Committee, we recommended to revive the PNR because we see that the traffic is getting bad. The roads are being it easily gets destroyed because of the heavy logistics company. Because after the PNR was stopped during the Cory administration, the logistics companies started to blossom. You know what I mean? Because formerly, the logistics are being done or are using the PNR to get across. I was still young when PNR, you can take PNR from Tutuban and you can get to Dagupan. That's how long the PNR was. But then, when we recommended, when MRT was always having trouble, we recommended that PNR should be revived. Then the Senate, Senator Grace Poe said, where are we going to get the money? So our president of NCCSPI, Ms. Maricor Acol, said, we will help you find the money. To make the long story short, we were able to help the government to get a fund from Japan in the amount of 2.9 billion US dollars. The problem that time, it could not be started. The rehabilitation could not be started because it was nearing election time already at the time of Secretary Abaya. I said, let's wait. So it started when Secretary Tugade was already seated and we had a meeting and I told him, do you know, Secretary, that you have a fund of 2.9 billion to rehab the PNR. And part of that is a study that JICA is supposed to do in order to have a pan-Pacific, a pan-Philippines rail system.
Yes po.
That's the whole thing. That's the whole vision of JICA. So it was started. And during the opening, the inauguration of the, what's this?
Yes, ma'am.
The groundbreaking in after May Kawayan, it's ano the
Miss Medina,
municipality after May Kawayan.
So in short
There
po,
was the groundbreaking,
Apo.
and the Japanese ambassador was there,
Great.
and we met, and he confirmed it to Secretary Tugade that we were the ones who facilitated. So now we can see that our visions are moving.
Efforts.
We know that this is what our commuters need.
Okay.
I
So,
was saying to people who were saying that it's going to be very difficult, and why is the government doing this? Pinahihirapan kami. Sabi kong ganun sa kanila. We're very lucky because the support systems is being in place, is getting into place. The secretary has told me that there will be buses
pero
to
po,
be prepositioned.
Opo, ma'am, kasi sinasabi nga po ng mga commuters natin dito, although okay naman sila, there's going to be parang progress dito sa mangyayari na project na ito. Ang problema nila kasi yung pamasahe nila mas madadagdagan, mas hahaba yung travel time nila. And enough po ba yung special bus trips na i-organize ng DOTR para po dito sa mga 25,000 affected passengers?
That is one thing that I will be meeting with the secretary this week. We have already we are planning to have a meeting so that we can actually calculate the exact numbers that the commuters who will be taking the buses, and also how much really is the most reasonable price for that, because it is a very difficult thing to do, adjusting of one's budget, especially.
Yes.
We must remember that these are provinces already, and many of them will be traders.
That's right.
Farmers who are trading their goods coming to Manila, going back, especially those that are taking the north-south trail system.
Yes, Ms. Elvira,
We have to take that into consideration.
I'd like to ask din po kasi, aside from having fewer options for commuters, ano po ba ang ibang concerns nyo about the suspension of PNR trips during this period?
Okay. This is one thing I have told the secretary. I'm concerned with the information dissemination. Because the commuters right now, they do not have a visual of what's going to happen. Diba? Ang sinasabi lang natin, i-stop itong segment na ito, lalagyan natin ng bus, pero kailan, saan, at paano. Okay? Kailangan ipakita natin visually yung timeline.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kailangan lahat visual na ngayon. Hindi na pwede yung kukwento.
Yeah.
Hindi na pwede yung kwentuhan. Because these are lives of people. This means the economy of the country. This means the livelihood of farmers. So those are things that are very critical in the country.
Yes, Ms. Elvira.
And we have to do it very, very stringently para hindi mawala yung mga dati na lang na-experience.
Yes, Ms. Elvira, on your end po ba, did anyone from the transportation sector or sa government po coordinate with you regarding what is gonna happen sa mga pick-up points ng buses? Ano yung earliest na pwede ibalik to? Ano yung latest? Was there enough information given to your group?
Well, I have been speaking with the secretary himself, and that's one of the reasons why we are meeting this week. I think it's going to be Wednesday because we have to micro plan everything. Hindi pwede yung isang malaking ganyan kwentuhan lang I want everything to be visual.
Okay.
Opo. Siguro maybe Miss Elvira, after po ng interview ng meeting nyo with the DOTR with USEC, we can invite you again to talk about what happened
I'm
or what
meeting with the
transpired.
secretary himself.
Apo. With the secretary himself, kung whatever transpired po dun sa meeting nyo. For the meantime, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras, Miss Elvira Medina of National Center for Commuter Safety and Protection. Magandang umaga po sa inyo.
Thank you very much.
Okay, kasi supposedly yan ay magde-decongest no, ng traffic dito sa Metro Manila.
And travel time between stations will be shortened by a significant time daw. And access into, kasi minsan ang bottleneck is if you're going in the stations, ang haba daw ng pila going in. So nagkakaroon din ng traffic in thoroughfares natin. By this time, everything should be smoother.
Okay, switching gears now. Are we switching gears?
Yes, next. At our fourth spot is the controversy at the National Food Authority. The NFA recommends to temporarily suspend the release of the rice sold to private traders. This as the House continues to investigate the alleged anomaly in the agency. Around 88,000 sacks of rice sold to private traders are still in NFA's warehouses. The NFA will also investigate the list of officials who were given 6 months preventive suspension. Because it turns out some of these officials are either retired or are already dead.
Nakakaya. You're filing a preventive suspension na patay na. Nag-retire na. Tama po ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
Dapat gawa natin to ng ng the DA, no, ng immediate intervention.
They really have to look into that kung ganun yung mga na-discover nila.
Preventive suspension, patay na pala.
My gosh.
Diba? Yung system natin in government, how we hold accountability is very flawed to
Kaya
this
nga,
point.
yung sinasabi nila, i-abolish daw yung NFA kasi maraming mga corruption. Pero ang isang tinitignan din natin yan, tama bang i-abolish itong NFA o tamang ayusin yung mga opisyalis na mamalakad sa NFA?
Yeah, for a while kasi they were talking about either when abolish mo, tas i-integrate niya with another department or create another department altogether that manages the entire food security of the Philippines. Parang ang daming questions kung paano.
Oh my gosh.
Sino yung sasako? Pero preventive suspension para sa patay.
Oo, that's something else.
That's something else. So,
And our next story for today. Our top 3 for today, an update on the Houthi attack in Gulf of Aden. 13 Filipino seafarers who were among those attacked by the rebels are now safe. President Bongbong Marcos says they are being assisted by the Philippine Embassy in Cairo. He ordered all concerned agencies to provide the necessary assistance for them and their families. Marcos also extends his sympathies to the families of 2 seafarers who were killed in the attack. Their vessel MV True Confidence was on its way to Jeddah in Aqaba when it was attacked by Houthi rebels. Last week na nakausap natin si Yusik De Vega regarding that. And at that time, hindi pa nila makuha yung mga labi ng 2 Filipino seafarer natin na nasama nga doon sa insidente, sa attack ng mga Houthi. But nonetheless, yung ibang nasugatan and other Filipino are okay naman. Yun ang sinasabi.
And tuloy-tuloy ang mga attacks sa nangyayari sa Gulf area na yan. But I think France and UK are stepping up their security along with the US. Kasi just recently, I think the UK ship took down 2 drones or 3 drones na galing sa Houthi that were supposed to attack other vessels na trying to ply their trade lang sa route na yan. So, but then again, di ba, mag-isip-isip daw if you have a choice.
You have a choice.
You have a choice. You have a choice.
Dun sa mga high-risk areas na yun.
Either you take daw a hazard pay na mas mataas ang bayad mo or
wag na lang.
Wag ka sasama.
Wag kang sumama dun sa crew na yun. Okay?
Don't go away because we're not done yet. May dalawa pa. Please stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching Brunch here on One News. And of course, maraming salamat sa lahat ng sumasali sa atin sa Facebook,
Discussion.
YouTube, and also syempre yung sa Signal Cable. Oo. And please continue to discuss with us kung ano yung mga issues na gusto nyong talakayin.
I'm sure excited na sila kung ano yung last 2 stories natin. Top 2, di ba?
Oo, they're waiting to see that. So let's move on. And our second top story for today is Pastor Apollo Kibuloy. Senator Risa Hontiveros once again calls out the embattled pastor for allegedly taking the salaries of OFW members of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ. During a Senate hearing, KOJC member Reynita Fernandez revealed that OFWs in their religious group were pressured and harassed into giving 90% of their salaries to Kibuloy. Hontiveros previously cited Kibuloy in contempt and ordered his arrest. This as the pastor continues to hide and refuse to attend the panel's investigation into his alleged abuses. So dumadami pa ang ang mga issues against him, 'di ba? Apparently sexual harassment.
Yung sa OFW na sinasabi mo nga kanina, may mga nabasa ako mga accounts na sinasabi nila na nawalan sila ng bahay because they were forced to give at least 90%
Laki, 90%.
of their earnings. So, alam naman natin yung mga OFW nagpapakahirap yan sa ibang bansa para makapagtrabaho for not for themselves but for their families, no? So, I guess, iyon nga sinasabi natin, 'di ba, na ito sana yung way ni Pastor Apollo Kibuloy to clear his name kung talagang wala siyang kasalanan.
Habang wala pa yung actual required court appearances, 'di ba? In the public, 'di ba? Kasi kung wala namang tinatago, go ahead. Aside from that, 'di ba yung sumikat kay Pastor Apollo Kibuloy before, yung mga bata na nagtitinda ng mga candy. Oo, sa street na wala naman talagang commission binibigay. O walang allegedly. Yeah.
Pero yun nga, so antayin natin because I think yung camp nga ni Pastor Apollo Kibuloy is heading to appeal sa Supreme Court kung talaga bang dapat siya ay umapela pumunta sa Senado. Pero they are optimistic. Sabi nga nila dun sa support na makukuha nila sa Senado. Remember, sa Senate, si Senator Robin Hood Padilla ang nag-initiate nung pag-oppose ng pag-appear ni Pastor Apollo Kibuloy sa Senate.
And as of today, they only have 4.
As of today, they only have 4 and they only have until tomorrow mag-gather yung 8 signatures that he needs to block the arrest warrant kay Apollo Kibuloy, yung contempt order ni Senator Risa Hontiveros. Otherwise,
Senate President will have to sign the order.
Yes, that's right.
And then PNP will assist the Senate Sergeant at Arms in enforcing the arrest.
Okay. I'm sure inaalam naman natin ng mga kababayan ano yung ating number 1 na story for today. We are now down to our top story and it's about, of course, the West Philippine Sea. A survey shows that majority of Filipinos are willing to defend their country against foreign enemies. Here's the report.
President Bongbong Marcos has been rallying the support of the country's allies amid China's aggression. That's according to Representative Neptali Gonzalez, who chairs the House Special Committee on West Philippine Sea. Gonzalez says Marcos has been raising the issue in his meeting with leaders of several nations, including Australia and Vietnam. The Philippines and Australia recently agreed to strengthen their joint maritime activities. In January, a memorandum on incident and management in the South China Sea was signed between the Philippines and Vietnam. Gonzalez's statement came after the Defense Department operationalized its comprehensive archipelagic defense concept. As part of this, Secretary Gilbert Yodoro ordered an increase of military presence in several areas, including Batanes. He says this aims to ensure that we enjoy the bounties of the natural resources within our domain. Meanwhile, a new Octa survey shows that 3 in 4 Filipinos are willing to defend the country against foreign enemy. 77% expressed their willingness to fight for the Philippines, while 23% is either not willing or not ready. According to the December survey, majority of those who said yes are within the age range of 45 to 55 years old.
Ayun nga, yung basis ng interview natin kanina kay
Yeah,
Octa
oo.
Research Professor Guido David.
Emphasize naman daw na in general, Filipinos are peace-loving people. But when push comes to shove, they're willing to fight. And as evidence sa 1986 bloodless revolution, di ba? We want peace, pero when it came to defend our freedom at that time, a lot of them came out on the streets. Kahit you see women, children, madre, padre, nakatayo in front of battle tanks, willing to be run over by these tanks just to defend their country and their democracy. So ganun ang ugali ng Pinoy. Okay kami, peace tayo, pero when you threaten my motherland, teka lang, ibang
usapan na yun.
Diba,
But
parang supposedly kay Lapu-Lapu. Oo, diba?
Pero yun nga nilinaw ni Professor Guido David na hindi naman nasabi yung kung anong klaseng defend yung gusto ng...
Basta ang sabi niya, the context is armed conflict kasi. So, in other words, are you willing, siguro ang mind ng Pinoy, kung away, willing ka ba? May mga iba daw na nagsumagot na, well, a keyboard warrior, ganon. Pero ang context ng questioning was when armed struggle happens. Lalaban ka ba?
And then also, getting into the picture is yung mga other claimants din ng dito sa South China Sea, sa West Philippine Sea, yung like Vietnam has also released their statement na sana daw mas peaceful yung gawin natin, both parties, dahil apektado hindi lang tayong dalawa, but also other claimants there to maintain yung peace stability in that area. So medyo may concern din sila kasi nga nag-escalate yung tension, and we've seen a lot of reports, not just here in the Philippines, but all over the world, diba? You've seen CNN International reporting what just happened last week, di ba? Yung water cannon incident and etc. So, yun yung kanilang hiling din.
Yeah, and a lot of the countries naman also have, Asian countries also have claims naman to the same area we have. Ang difference lang naman kasi is hindi naman we are not aggressive or they're not being aggressive to us.
Freedom of navigation.
Sige, let's use the area while we're disputing this legally. Daan tayo kung kailangan gamitin. It's just China is trying to claim it for its own self without wanting to share the area, di ba?
Di ba sabi pa nila, recently naglabas din sila ng statement na sige, papayagan nila yung Philippines will continue their resupply missions, pero only one boat lang ang kanilang iaalaw. And on that, di ba, parang bakit kailangan kami magpaalam sa'yo at bakit mo kailangan sabihin sa amin kung ilan barko ang dapat namin dalin? Di ba?
Correct.
Nako.
Ayan, para sa mga para sa mga nag-aantay na ba magagawa ng Pilipinas sa China or ikakalimutan na ba natin ito? Ito ang quote para sa inyo. Waiting is painful. Forgetting is painful. But not knowing which to do is the worst kind of suffering. From Paulo Coelho. And that wraps up today's episode of Brunch.
Join us again tomorrow. I'm Angela Lagunzad Castro.
And I'm Angelo Castro III. We are One News.
All sides, all the time.